Hi guys, welcome back, and hello if you are new. I hope all of you have had a fantastic week so far. So following the absolute whirlwind that was Periphery 4 Hail Stan, the band are back with what is actually their longest period between albums. And I'm here to see if it's all been worth the wait. So if you're not familiar with Periphery, they are a band that are characterised by their expert musicianship and absolutely fantastic melodies. So a little bit of context around the record. Basically, Periphery had a very high level of quality control when it came to this album, and they started writing in 2020. And they would go on these sort of 2-week excursions all together, writing, and then they take about 2 months away from the material to really let it sink in. And I think, Periphery have got a pretty high quality filter as it is. The band were also asking themselves, are we retreading old ground here? And I'm happy to report that it's a no, but also kind of a yes in a good way. So the first thing I noticed about V is that it's a heavy album. It's very much in the vein of Periphery 1, I want to say, that early level of technicality and really quite high energy, aggressive sound. And it's seen throughout the record. There's Wildfire's really, really heavy ending. You've also got blast beats in Zagreus and Atropos, and then Everything Is Fine is probably that level of heavy that, you would associate with Periphery 1 and things like that. But it's very much, current. It doesn't sound like they're sort of rehashing ideas that they did earlier on in their career. Though I think it would be unfair to say that this record is just heavy, because Periphery are far more dynamic than just that. So with that in mind, there are moments where this heaviness gets really counteracted with a sense of real serenity. The ending of the final track, for example, Thanks Nobuo, is really quite relaxing, and for me reminded me a lot of the Her soundtrack, Max Richter, that kind of idea. And it's something that the band have been experimenting with, I would say, ever since Juggernaut, around that sort of time, maybe 3, Select Difficulty. And it really, really plays in a big role, I think, in this album. And you can see it kind of, in the ending of Wildfire as we move into Atropos, and then from Atropos into Wax Wings. But most importantly, it carries on that cohesive narrative musically, I think, that keeps you well within that Periphery world. Though that being said, the band are pushing their sound out a little bit more. Wildfire, for example, has this kind of late night smooth jazz section, which has a really lovely piano solo and a guest saxophone solo by Jürgen Munkby of Shining as well, which is really cool. But I really feel that the band have focused on incorporating the idea of what they were exploring on Hail Stan even more on this record. Like electronics are very much a part of Periphery's sound, and they've been hinting at that for a couple of albums now, but this is really kind of where I think programming, electronics, guitars and all that sort of stuff really kind of come together. And sometimes it's very embedded, but others it sort of takes the spotlight, like the kind of 80s themed Silhouette, which, as much as I wasn't really a fan of it, it is an interesting palate cleanser. And, once you've had 4 tracks which are super, super heavy, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a breather. I have to say, though, special mention has to go to Spencer Sotelo, because his performance on this album is absolutely spectacular. He showcases his range, ability and tone, and is able to pretty much change anything at the drop of a penny. And I think it's not an easy thing for someone to not only match the kind of schizophrenic nature of a band like Periphery, but carry it. Like he's the singer, he's the main singer, and he's going up against crazy drum parts, 3 guitarists, bass, electronics, and he still always puts his point across and never really sounds, boring or outdated. And there are some absolutely amazing performances of his on this album. But there's always a signature moment with Periphery. And that leads me to my favorite song, which is Wax Wings. On each album, there's always a song which is like that. So like Juggernaut Omega was Stranger Things. Periphery Select Difficulty was Loon. You had Masamune or Muramasa. And it's kind of this bit where everything kind of comes together and works brilliantly. And then it just blows you away. It's amazing. So midway through the song, after this beautiful piano section, things are slowed down slightly and there's a new melody which is introduced. Then we hear kind of like leads slowly kind of drip fed, some harmonies kind of coming in. Matt Halpin's drums kind of get a little bit more animated, distortion comes in, and then Spencer comes in with these lyrics which are kind of slowly but surely being repeated. The machines are until we get to this point where everything comes together, and he has this key change that just, oh man, it's like one of the best moments I've heard in a Periphery song in years. It's absolutely perfect. And it's just fucking great. And there's a fantastic guitar solo to kind of cap off that section as well. And guitar solos on this album, there's loads of them. Of course there are, it's a Periphery album. You can hear that there's different flavors of guitar solo on here. Mark Holcomb, Misha, Jake Bowen, like it's really interesting to hear that kind of personality come through in the melodies of their guitar solos. However, despite these standout moments that are absolutely amazing and I love them, there are a couple of little bits where the album does lose flow a little bit. Silhouette, for example, is an interesting song, but it kind of derails the momentum of the album. I kind of understand what they were trying to do with it, but it just feels like one of those songs where I might actually skip it. And because each song, particularly towards the end of the album, they're so well put together, there's so many different dynamics going on, like 2 of them are 10 minutes long. There's enough for you to really immerse yourself in that. Really, you don't need these 2 songs, just kind of in the middle. That is, however, the only downside to this album. Periphery have taken the technicality and the anger of their first record, coupled it with the musical storytelling of Juggernaut style era, and then added the dynamics that were being explored on Hail Stan to create something that, despite the kind of dip in the middle, is still a very strong Periphery album. And for that reason, I'm going to give this album an 8.5 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. Let me know what you think of the video and the album in the comments underneath me. Please do hit that like and subscribe. It definitely helps. I hate saying it, but I am a YouTuber. And other than that, I will see you guys very, very soon for another album review.